The launch of World of Warcraft Classic is a little bit over a month away, but with every new game that comes out, there are haters.
We don't need Classic, you freaking fricks!
Most of the retail fanboys will tell us that it's all rose-tinted goggles because Classic will just be a waste of time and the player base will quickly die. Sup guys, Squid Biscuit here, and today I want to talk about whether World of Warcraft Classic was truly the best version of the game. Now, in order to find out if Classic truly was the golden era of WoW, we need to compare it to its other expansions. There's a total of 7 expansion packs for World of Warcraft, which means there's 8 different versions of the game. I don't want to be here all day reviewing and comparing every single one, so we will focus on 3. The vanilla version of the game, Burning Crusade, and Wrath of the Lich King. In my own opinion, and by the sub count, these versions of the game are the best. If you want my one-word opinion on the others, it goes as follows. Looking for raid, pandas, garrisons, and artifact weapons. I can't tell you how many times a friend of mine tried to convince me to play Legion by saying, "Dude, bruh, WoW is so good again, it's just like Burning Crusade." I remember Kara introducing welfare epics, but I don't remember getting the fucking legendary Ashbringer and Hellfire Peninsula. And I don't have anything to say about the mess that BFA is, and since it's still out, they could turn that ship around, but I honestly don't see that happening. So first, let's talk about Wrath of the Lich King. One of the best parts of this expansion was the music, and I'm looking at you, Grizzly Hills. But my favorite aspect of this X-Pack, and what probably carried it, was the story of Arthas and the whole undead theme. A lot of people will argue that the story of the Lich King is cliche, but as a player who doesn't go out of his way to read up on the lore, this made it pretty easy to get what was going on. It was simple, and it didn't involve a bunch of demons with 10-syllable names. And as much as I hated vehicle combat, Winter Grasp was awesome when I had access to a computer that didn't catch on fire when I participated in it. But unfortunately, that's all the pros I can think of on the top of my head, because other than Old War, Wrath of the Lich King was lacking a lot of raid difficulty. Naxxramas was like taking a dump while you're on a high fiber and protein diet. No wipes, you can just get straight off the toilet because that shit was easy. And even though Blizzard at this point hasn't drank the Kool-Aid yet, you can tell that they were sipping on it with the introduction of Looking for Group. But the Lich King's worst offense of all time was the lie told in the 2007 BlizzCon's reveal trailer. Where the hell are these new dances that we were promised? It's been over 10 years and my paladin is still doing the goddamn boogie.
You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I remember getting so excited about this when I saw it in the trailer, but it's like nobody even cared or knew about it. And it's these reasons and way more that makes Wrath the worst of the 3 versions of World of Warcraft. But don't feel bad, because it's still 7 times better than anything they've released after it. And that brings us to the reason why you came here, vanilla. Classic was the OG version of the game, but the best part of Classic was that most of the cons were the pros. The long journeys from one location to another, the tedious process of getting a group together, going to the dungeon, fighting through the pre-dungeon, using CC and stuns in every pull, and hoping that nobody leaves in the middle of it. This made every piece of dungeon loot much more valuable. Class identity was also the strongest in this version of the game, but that also brings us to where it was weak. Your class was a little too unique. As a paladin, you're stuck healing. You couldn't tank raid content. And if you wanted to be ret, you needed to be the guild leader's pet, the highest contributor to the guild bank, and have every BOE best in slot epic item available, which could cost thousands of gold. But doing this will only grant you a guaranteed raid spot on fights that your guild already has on lockdown. And the Paladin is just one example. Most of the classes were stuck focusing on only one talent tree that was viable to raid content at the time. This lack of diversity is the reason why Classic WoW is not my favorite version of the game. I know you weren't prepared for that, but the Burning Crusade is my all-time favorite version of World of Warcraft. Condensing 40-man raids to 25 was a smart choice because managing 40 people and keeping them all online for a 4-hour raid night was a bitch. And in this expansion, Blizzard made each talent of every class viable, but at the same time keeping every class feeling like they're bringing something unique to the raid. Like for instance, Pally tanks were the best for AoE aggro, Warrior tanks had the best oh shit macros, and Druids had a high amount of health keeping them from being one-shot. or how priests were the best all-around healers, pallies were amazing tank healers, druids killed it in the raid heals, and shamans brought a combination of AoE healing, totem buffs, and bloodlust. And it wasn't just raiding that was improved upon in this expansion. BC brought the arena combat to the game. Players got to fight in a competitive mode with close-quarter maps in WoW for the first time. But don't round the corner just yet. This version of the game still had its faults. The introduction of flying mounts killed open-world PvP. It's funny how we don't really see these things coming. I remember being stoked when the Gnome trailer came out telling us about these mounts for the first time, but I never really thought about the impact it would have before they were implemented into the game. And Burning Crusade also started the trend of devaluing epic item gear. Karazhan was filled with easily obtainable epic items that soured the gearing experience for veteran players. In my perfect world, Kara would only have a few special epic items drop from certain bosses on rare occasions, and just add 2 more bosses to Gruul's Lair or Mags for the tier 4 gloves and helm. But with all these cons, I still love BC the best. And I didn't make this video to shit on Classic. I absolutely love that version of the game. In fact, I have to love and support it if I want Blizzard to bring back Burning Crusade also. But what did you guys think about Burning Crusade being my all-time favorite? Was it also your favorite? Or did the clown-looking gear kill it for you? If not, then comment down below which version of World of Warcraft you think is the best. And I know I went pretty hard on those other expansions of the game, but if that's the game you love, then play it, who gives a shit? And don't forget to like the video if you liked it, and if you didn't, well, my bad. Also, consider subscribing to this channel for more content like this. Thanks again for watching.